Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 5 of What If Naruto was the descendant of Shao Kahn. If you guys enjoyed this what if, and want to see part 6 of it, comment down below and let me know. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel. And check the description for the creator of this fanfic, and support them for making this fanfic. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. It had been a few months since Naruto had walked back into Konoha with relative ease with his group behind him, and was actually glad his trip to Sound had brought about unexpected fruit. So many potential recruits in one visit, with one of them in Sound to keep things in order, until it was time to take Rice Country from its weak daimyo. The time wouldn't be right for a while, but it wouldn't be hard to do, since Kimimaro would ensure his access to the country would be wide open. And the samurai guarding the Rice daimyo would be small, since the feudal lord did not have the means to fund a large one like the other major countries did. Speaking of countries, as it turned out from his conversation with Karen when traveling back to the Leaf, the bespectacled redhead was actually an Uzumaki like himself, and all Uzumakas came from Whirlpool country. Members of the Uzumaki clan were all very powerful, with long life expectancies and masters of the sealing arts, with some having the ability to suppress the powers of a Biju. After Whirlpool fell from the combined strength from the armies of several shinobi villages during the Second Shinobi War, the Uzumaki clan members that didn't perish there had scattered throughout the world. And Karen's parents landed in Grass Village under a different name, to protect them from other shinobi villages seeking to wipe out their bloodline. Apparently, Karen's parents tried to get a hold of Kushina since they knew of her being in Konoha, but never heard back, and wondered if the woman was doing that to protect them, or if someone was keeping her from communicating with them. Either way, it was nice to know there was now someone else with Uzumaki blood running in their veins aside from himself, and told Karen he was an Uzumaki too on his mother's side. Naturally, the girl was shocked, and the feint that followed just proved it further. Though she wasn't the only one surprised to hear of more Uzumaki being alive, as Tsunade, being part Uzumaki herself, was ecstatic to hear a distant relative on her grandmother's side of the family was alive, and clearly doing well despite everything. Flashback, after returning to Konoha. "So, you're an Uzumaki too? That's wonderful," exclaimed Tsunade, as she heard Karen tell her about Naruto's little invasion of Sound, and the new management happening there under Kimimaro. Tsunade herself didn't really care that Naruto was beginning his plans for conquering the elemental countries, as she knew it had nothing to do with Konoha, and eventually the village would fall under his rule too. By putting someone else in charge of the Sound village after Kabuto was killed, Naruto could be elsewhere, and set other plans he had brewing in his mind into motion. The world was in chaos. Tsunade had seen it in her travels over the past decade of a growing tension from the different countries, a breaking down of order, and no one giving a damn. The corrupt feudal lords using their wealth, their titles, and power to push around the incredibly poor they bled dry. Naruto intended to cleanse the world of such people by making them bleed for a change, and bring about true order to the world under his rule. Tsunade didn't know why she was supporting her godson's actions in starting what would be a violent campaign to take over the elemental countries, but she would do it for him, and trust that Naruto would be a great emperor. She's also got the skills to be a great medic nin. I know you've been seeking to expand the number of medic nins, and wanted her to become one of your newest apprentices, stated Naruto, while Karen blushed at his praise and looked at Tsunade to see the woman was very interested in the idea. "You said one of your newest, so I'm assuming there is someone else you have in mind?" asked Tsunade with Naruto grinning. "Hyuga Hinata would make a nice addition to the ranks too. I know from experience the girl's got the gift for healing others," answered Naruto, since the girl had made that cream to heal cuts instantly. "Really? That's interesting. I'll look into it," said Tsunade, while looking pleased to hear that there were potential students waiting for her to teach. "Good to hear. Also, Jugo here needs your help to keep his power under control, and his insanity at bay. Kimimaro can do that when he's around, but I need something on a more permanent basis in the event that's not possible. I told him you could possibly help in that regard, or at the very least try to make the attempt, since it's never been done before with his previous physician. Though given who that was, I doubt he would have tried," stated Naruto, while pointing to the tall orange-haired man bowing slightly to the Hokage. "Okay. I'll help him out tomorrow. For now, you should rest, train, or do whatever it is that you do," said Tsunade, as she waved them off, and knew Naruto had other things to do. Then flashback. Since then, Naruto had been busy with his preparations for the different plans running through his head, and where to go next. Mist was filled with chaos right now, with the rebellion fighting the Mizukage for his cruel actions against those with bloodlines. From what Kidomaru had overheard from Orochimaru, there was a growing conflict in Snow Country with the tyrant there, and a secret rebellion forming to overthrow a man named Kazukana Dodo. The late Sanin's own memories just further reinforced what Naruto had known from the start, as he had turned one of the rooms in the Namikaze states into a war room of sorts, to plan each new offensive campaign, and which new places to attack next. I intend to head for water country in the next 2 months to help the rebellion win against the Mizukage, stated Naruto, while each of his 4 bodyguards were standing over the map the Namikaze placed on the table. Orochimaru was always cautious when it came to the Mizukage, because the man was rumored to be a Jinchuriki of the Three Tails, while being a strong shinobi without the Biju backing him up, said Shao Kahn, with Ukon nodding in agreement. As he should have been Shao Kahn. However, I wouldn't allow this useless war in that part of the world to continue. With the rebellion becoming the victor, I can receive the loyalty of every battle-hardened warrior in the country, and make myself known as a hero to many others, explained Naruto before looking over at Snow Country, since that was not going to be as easy to take that since the rightful ruler was rumored to be alive, but in hiding from her uncle, and was needed to ensure politics didn't play a factor against him. Meanwhile, at the Hyuga clan compound. Are you sure we should be doing this? Giving such a weak girl to the Namikaze? Asked one Hyuga elder sitting among the others in a secret room, in a secret meeting, and the usual secret stuff they always do behind Hiyashi's back. It can't be Hanabi since she's too young. Besides, we need a strong heiress to run the clan after Hiyashi becomes too old, and Hanabi can be influenced to see our way is the right way. A weak older sister would try to push for reform within the clan, getting the support of the branch family, and risk overthrowing us through them. I would allow such an act of heresy to be spoken or achieved in this clan while I'm alive. Besides, the girl has feelings for Namikaze, which we can use to our advantage, in getting the boy's support, and gain a powerful ally, in keeping our influence from leaving Konoha with the Senju now taking back control of the village, stated another Hyuga elder. They believed that there were 2 types of people in the Hyuga clan. Those that ruled over the Hyuga clan, which were all the main family, and those that lived to serve them until the end of time being from the branch family. The strong ruled over the weak, and in this case, they used the cage bird seal to keep the weak from having delusions of grandeur and rising up against the strong. But what if the Namikaze believes the marriage proposal we're offering with such a weak Hyuga to be an insult? The boy respects only the strong, stated another Hyuga elder with worry. We don't have any other Hyuga the Namikaze can marry around his age. It must be her, exclaimed the second Hyuga elder furiously. I'm just being cautious. If Hiyashi finds out about this before it's finalized, then he'll have us all killed, and put others in our position to switch the balance of power in his favor, explained the third Hyuga elder. He's right. Hiyashi will not allow us to manipulate things within the clan like we have in the past, if it involves either of his daughters. It must be done soon, or we risk more than just the Hyuga clan's political power, the first Hyuga elder stated with worry. Agreed. We need to make this official right away. Have a branch member deliver this scroll to the Namikaze brat, and tell him it would be in his best interest to accept, said one Hyuga elder to his fellow kinsman, before summoning one of his servants and told the Hyuga to do what was commanded of him. The Izuka clan home. At the moment. What? I'm going to be put into an arranged marriage. To the hell with. Screamed Hana with fury at her mother, who wasn't the least bit angry or impressed with the outburst. Though she did understand the reason for it. Because I said so. Because the Namikaze clan's heir has returned. Because the one with that title has the power to kick the ass of everyone in the village, if we provoke him. How about the one where Senju Tsunade, the new 5th Hokage, is his godmother, and I for one want our clan to be on her good side, knowing her godson is going to taken care of by one of our own, stated Sume, with Hana looking furious at her. That doesn't answer the question of who I'm marrying. I've been away from the village on a 2-week mission, and it doesn't answer my question, exclaimed Hana while she growled at her mother. Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto Yubaka, answered Sume, with her own patience running on empty with her daughter. Him? But he's younger than me. He's 12 for Kami's sake, exclaimed with Sume just letting out a scoff at the whole age thing. Age nothing. We both saw that kid fight in the Chunin exam finals, and that was not the body of a 12-year-old boy. That boy is going to be the dominant male in all of Konoha in a few years, and excuse me if I want my daughter to get on the ground floor. You think he's going to be limited to one woman? He's going to rebuild his clan, and that means one of those women will be the alpha female of the group, explained Sume with Hana blushing since she had seen Naruto compete in the Chunin exam finals, and would be lying if she thought he wasn't alpha male material. Why didn't you consult me first before doing this? Asked Hana with Sume looking guilty now. I wanted to tell you sooner, but time is of the essence here, and I'm sure several clans are making moves to secure their own connection to Naruto with their daughters. If I waited until you return to discuss this with you, then I risk you losing out on being the clan head wife, and overall alpha female of the pack. I am sorry Hana, answered Sume with sincerity in her voice. I don't believe you. This is in regards to your insecurity about me not finding an alpha and living a life without a mate. You've been concerned about this issue ever since I hit puberty, exclaimed Hana with Sume nodding since that was true. Can you blame me? 3 potential mates, and not one interest in them in the slightest. Sume shot back at her daughter. Because those 3 potential mates were all scrawny, weak, civilians, and no backbone at all in them when challenged. said Hana, seeing Tsume reluctantly nodding since she had a point. Well, Naruto doesn't fall under any of those categories, and you know it. So, suck it up and at least get to know him before passing judgment. Kami knows people have been doing that since the brat was born, exclaimed Tsume, with Hana nodding in agreement to that. Fine. I will meet him in person and all that stuff. Just, don't expect any wedding bells anytime soon, Mom, said Hana, with Tsume nodding since it was only fair. Namikaze Estates. Family Dojo. Naruto sat in meditative position within the family dojo, his mind working on accessing the memories of the late third Hokage, and finding many interesting things. Mostly blackmail of those on the councils, which the third Hokage used to stay in power, and was able to influence them to see things his way and how to condition their new Jinchuriki after Kushina died. The third Hokage couldn't do that with her due to Jiraiya Tsunade being so active in the village with the wars that followed. Very few people in Konoha knew Uzumaki Kushina was Kyuubi's previous vessel. In a situation where something important is known by a select few and it gets out, chances are one of the few leaked it. The third Hokage had been all too thrilled inside to have Naruto unprotected in order to be properly conditioned, and with those that could interfere currently away from Konoha at the time made things all the easier. A fib here, a lie there, and a few choice words had the third Hokage practically getting exclusive rights to Naruto's childhood to manipulate it in any manner he desired. It was ironic that the old man would accomplish his objective in getting his weapon, but only half of it on account of Naruto being loyal to himself, and not Konoha like the old monkey wanted. As he dug through the third Hokage's memories, one in particular caught his attention, and focused on it. As Naruto dug deeper into the memory, he realized it was a meeting with the fire daimyo, and the two were discussing something. Flashback, third Hokage's memory. Here is the scroll, Fire Daimyo-sama, echoed the third Hokage's voice to the fire daimyo home, while handing the feudal lord the scroll. I hate to ask this question now after having this in my possession, but why not destroy this? Or use it? What if the brat comes looking for his inheritance? Echoed the fire daimyo's voice. Because in the event the boy does learn about it, you are the only one with the authority to grant him the inheritance, and bind him into servitude to you in exchange. Besides, I have no intention of Naruto getting a shred of what his parents wanted him to have, and will see to it that he's too weak to oppose you should he try, echoed the confident and slightly smug tone of the third Hokage. So, I should consider this a form of insurance in the off chance your plans for the brat's condition fails to a certain extent. Very well. Just don't screw this up, Hiruzen. My plan to claim the wealth of the Uzumaki clan through the brat is the only reason I tolerate his current existence. However, the moment I get my hands on the wealth of both clans, I want the kid dead, and his offspring to have the Kyuubi next, while the weapon becomes a ward of the state under my care. When the time comes to take the combined wealth from Whirlpool and the Namikaze accounts, I expect there to be little to no resistance from my country's future weapon when he becomes of age to take it. Or rather when I come to take it from him. Echoed the fire daimyo, while the third Hokage smirked and nodded in agreement. Consider it a form of tribute to you and your great country, Fire Daimyo-sama. Proof of my loyalty and those in Konoha who are loyal to you, echoed the third Hokage, with the fire daimyo letting out an awful laugh. And it made Naruto want to smash his head in with the wrath hammer right there on the spot. Shame this was just a memory and not the real deal. But that would happen. Oh yes. The future emperor of Earthrealm would not be scored by some sniveling feudal lord, and take it lightly. Then flashback of third Hokage's memory. Naruto's eyes snapped open, rage filling his every being at this sudden information the old Hokage's memories had revealed, and the perfect excuse to see the fire daimyo to negotiate with the man to surrender the inheritance. It was bad enough Danzo was using his forces on the side to spread rumors about him, and smear his good name, so the fire daimyo would have some kind of ammunition against him. But this, the very idea of being forced to serve such a weak little man in return for what was rightfully his by blood, made Naruto hungry for blood or something else that had the ability to quench his thirst for it. Naruto-sama, called Shizune from the door behind him. Yes, Shizune. Naruto called back. I have a message here from the Hyuga clan stating it's urgent. Can I come in? Asked Shizune with Naruto standing while she talked from behind the door. Come in, replied Naruto with the woman entering the dojo wearing a combination of servant clothing, and the clothing a concubine of a feudal lord would wear, thanks to Anko being the one to choose the woman's new wardrobe. Here is the message, Naruto-sama, exclaimed Shizune, as Naruto pulled her towards him, kissing, and groping her with a hunger to state his bloodlust using sexual lust, while the scroll left the woman's hand. The message from the Hyuga clan can wait. I want you, Shizune. Disrupt. Now, stated Naruto with his body radiating power and his voice commanding the woman in front of him to obey. Yes, Naruto-sama, said Shizune breathlessly, as she easily disrobed in front of him, not bothering to wear panties per Anko's insistence that such things only got in Naruto's way well in the house, and was instantly pinned to the ground by her master. You smell. It's so intoxicating. Just like Anko-chan. So beautiful. So strong. So sexy. So enticing, exclaimed Naruto into her ear while disrobing himself, kissing the woman, down her neckline, and breasts with Shizune moaning out in pleasure. Naruto-sama. Shizune called out when she felt Naruto enter her womanhood with his shaft, gripping his muscle back tightly, when he filled her to the brim. You're mine, Shizune. The same as Anko. Every touch, every kiss, and every thrust I give your body makes you want more from me, Naruto told Shizune into her ear, as he began thrusting into the woman, and attacking her breasts with his hands. I am yours. The only man to ever have me will be you and you alone, called Shizune, as she easily became a mass of jelly after their romps together, and even more so, when Anko made it into a threesome. Shizune always slept late into the morning when that happened. Naruto smirked, as he caressed the woman beneath him on the floor, feeling pleasure run through her body from his touch, his kiss, and thrust of the erection assaulting her pussy. The cries of pleasure growing with each new powerful thrust he unleashed, the molesting of her breasts, and kissing of the sweet spots he knew were sensitive when attacked. He was laying siege to Shizune's body. Her cries of pleasure were sounds of victory being imminent. Her screaming his name from the powerful orgasm he made her have, was the sound of ultimate victory in conquering her body. Shizune surrendered to Naruto, as his shaft released his seed, and felt the warmth of his cum fill her pussy. She barely had time to embrace reality again, and recovering from the orgasm when Naruto rolled, so he was on the bottom with Shizune, being on top this time. Feeling his shaft was still hard inside of her, a firm hand smacked her ass to command the former student of Senjutsu Nade to begin riding him, and Shizune dared not disobey. She put her hands on his muscled torso, as she moved her hips, and felt Naruto's hands once more on her breasts. He was groping, twisting, molesting each orb of flesh, and groaning in pleasure from her hip movements. Anko has taught you well, stated Naruto, as he loved the pleasure Shizune was giving him, and would need to thank Anko later for helping the woman in how to please him. She has Naruto-sama. Anko wanted to make sure I was able to please you, when she was not even around to do it herself, exclaimed Shizune, as she was feeling him inside her pussy, and soon getting ready to release his seed again. I'll have to thank Anko later, said Naruto, while his power practically saturated the floor around them, and enjoyed the sight of Shizune bouncing on his cock with her tits bouncing free before him. I'm coming, Naruto-sama. I can feel it, called out Shizune, as she rode him harder, and moaning loudly, while her eyes were glazed over with lust. Cum, Shizune. Cum now. Naruto called out, as he came hard into Shizune's pussy, and the woman did the same upon feeling his seed fill her once more with the cries of pleasure echoing throughout the Namikaze states. Namikaze states. Sometime later. Lucky bastard, said Kidomaru while hearing his boss get it on with Shizune, with the others thinking the same thing, though Teiwaya was more peeved than envious. Fucking pervert. If you weren't the boss, I'd kick his ass, and his balls so he pissed blood, exclaimed Teiwaya with her face matching her hair. That and the fact we are guests in his house, stated Shao Kahn, while grinning at seeing how red Teiwaya's face was right now. Shut the fuck up, exclaimed Teiwaya angrily while shaking her fist at him. Make me, challenged Shao Kahn, with Teiwaya getting ready to fight it out when moments later killer intent washed over everyone in the room. You will not fight each other in my presence or my home unless it is sanctioned by me. Now is not the time to fight in Mortal Kombat. Now is the time to launch the next stage of my plan, stated Naruto, having gotten dressed while leaving a shadow clone to help put Shizune to bed and rest after their time together. So, you going to miss sooner than expected, asked Jirobo, with confusion written on his face. No. I'm heading to the Fire Country capital, to see the Fire Daimyo himself. I have seen deeper into the memories of the third Hokage, and realized the treachery of the old man runs straight to the feudal lord himself. He has my main inheritance left behind by my mother and other financial means from my father, answered Naruto with Ukon letting out a whistle of surprise. Orochimaru talked about that once when on a mission. He said the wealth and the deed to the land of Whirlpool could buy Fire Country along with several smaller countries with ease. Add to the fact the Namikaze clan was rumored to have enough wealth to almost do the same, just makes the holder of such wealth to be unstoppable. You could fund an entire army of mercenaries for decades, or even centuries before a dent is felt on the family wallet, said Shao Kahn, with Ukon nodding in agreement. Naruto nodded, remembering that memory of Orochimaru's in an offhand conversation about Uzumaki physiology, and how his opportunity to use one of them for a new body was impossible, due to the last Uzumaki being the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Chances are, the Sannin didn't realize he had an Uzumaki under his roof when he had Karen at his base, or maybe he did, and the man was preparing her to be an emergency body. The memories and feelings on the girl were vague and indecisive. Orochimaru was unsure if Karen was an Uzumaki or not, though it was clear he suspected something. Do you want us to come along, boss? Asked Kidomaru, seeing Naruto shake his head. No. You stay here and train to get stronger. Anko-chan will help since she was once a former student of Orochimaru. Sugestu is out visiting the weapons shop. Tenten works at to either buy or make a sword specifically for himself, while Jugo is getting treatment for his condition. Besides, someone has to keep an eye on them while I'm away, and Karen is going to be pretty busy learning everything about being a medic from the Hokage after being taken on as an apprentice. I need you four to make sure those three are being good while I'm away and keep an eye on certain uninvited idiots that have been trying to snoop around my home, answered Naruto with the four of them nodding, since they knew he was referring to Kakashi, Sasuke, Sakura, and anyone else he deemed for the kick-asses to the curb list. But what if you get captured or killed while there? How are we supposed to protect you when you won't let us? Questioned Jirobo with Teiwaya face palming and calling the man a fucking baka for fat ass. Under her breath. You're not yet ready for that task, Jirobo. None of you are ready. But you will be soon if I have anything to say about it. Orochimaru made you strong, but not strong enough to possibly overthrow him, and thus made sure what you learned is limited. I want you all to be at your best, and I will accept nothing less from any of you, stated Naruto before he left with the four of them looking shocked. Wow. Teiwaya simply stated since Orochimaru had always pressed on all of them not to get stronger than himself for risk of painful death. Oh? Is Teiwaya-chan having feelings for the boss? Teased Kidomaru seeing Teiwaya looking pissed off with her now red face matching her red hair to the point where they were one single thing. Shut the fuck up you fucking shit stain, yelled Teiwaya, while Kidomaru and the others laughed. Fire Country Capital. Several days later. The fire daimyo was not a man to usually worry about things, as he always had things under control around him, thanks to his samurai protecting his person, and shinobi in the leaf working in the shadows for different threats his usual guards couldn't handle. But now with the death of the third Hokage, the rumors pouring out from Konoha about the Uzumaki brat attaining demonic unnatural powers, and had killed Orochimaru of the Sannin with ease after beating prodigal Genin Hyuga Neji in the Chunin exams. It was alarming that such a thing would happen when the third Hokage had assured him that the Uzumaki would not be strong enough to claim what was rightfully his to have since his birth. He will not have it. All that was theirs is now mine. Mine, thought the fire daimyo, as he would not allow the brat to take such wealth from him, and whatever was in remains of Whirlpool. The only way the Kyuubi Jinchuriki would get anything from him was if the brat kneeled in his presence, and swore that all that were of his bloodline would be absolute loyalty to Fire Country. Daimyo-sama, called out one of the feudal lord's attendants running into the man's office, looking like he had seen something truly horrifying. Yes? What is it? Asked the fire daimyo seeing man looking panicky and fearful of something, made the hairs on the feudal lord's neck stand on end. There is someone at the castle walls demanding to see you daimyo-sama. He claims to be the son of the fourth Hokage and Uzumaki Kushina. He says if you do not grant him an audience, he'll make you, stated the fire daimyo's attendant, and the feudal lord looked furious. How dared that upstart demand anything from me? I hold his legacy in my hands, and he demands to be granted an audience with me. Have him arrested this instant. I want him in the lowest parts of the dungeon, and I want him to suffer, exclaimed the fire daimyo, while hoping his army of samurai would be able to repel this monstrous demon at his doorstep. With the aide soon leaving, the fire daimyo waited to hear from one of his men that the monster at his gate had been subdued, and currently in agonizing pain. It would be in the best interest of his samurai to comply with his command and waited for the moment the guards came in to inform their feudal lord of their success. What the fire daimyo got was the sound of an explosion and cries of battle echoing from the courtyard of his castle. Rushing to his window, the feudal lord of Fire Country was shocked and afraid at the sight revealed before his very eyes. He was shocked to see how his army of samurai were all fighting one person, and was afraid when seeing the army of samurai were losing to this one person. Of course, the fire daimyo had to remind himself this wasn't just any person, and clearly not human. Fire daimyo, come on out. Face me. Face judgment for the wrong you committed against me and my family, called out Naruto, before swinging his wrath hammer at three samurai, and sent them flying all the way to the other side of the courtyard into a wall. Damn brat. He has a lot of nerve to demand anything from me. I am the ruler of this country, and I will not bow to him. Thought the fire daimyo furiously, as he walked to the nearby balcony, and watched Naruto smashing through his army of samurai like they were nothing. Come on out fire daimyo. If you are truly the great leader of these warriors like they believe you are, then face me, and know my wrathful hand for the crimes you helped commit against my family. Called out Naruto, as he saw the fire daimyo on his balcony above him, and knocking over groups of samurai all over the place without mercy. Naruto even picked up one of the samurai by his helmet-covered face, and threw him into a whole line of them with their bodies being bowled over like pins. The Namikaze then smashed the ground with his wrath hammer, making it shake, and the footing of each samurai standing. They tried to stop him, but Naruto was too fast, too strong, and too damn powerful for the daimyo's army to repel. You have a lot of nerve demanding anything from me, brat. I hold your inheritance, your family's various holdings in my hands, and unless you swear your loyalty to me, I will see to it every document that make you the legitimate holder to such rightful claims is totally destroyed. Kneel. Kneel or see your inheritance destroyed and liquidated into nothing, exclaimed the fire daimyo from his position on the balcony. Never, called out Naruto, as he refused to bow to such a weak and frail-looking worm of a man. Then consider your family inheritance lost forever. Called out the fire daimyo before heading inside to destroy what Naruto came for. If he couldn't have the wealth of the Uzumaki and Namikaze clans, then nobody could have them. The funeral, Naruto simply stated, before letting out a demonic chuckle worthy of his forefather, and channeled his chakra into his legs, before leaping high into the air above the now shocked samurai army, with the wrath hammer above his own head, while letting out a yell. Before smashing it against the castle wall where the fire daimyo had been moments ago and caused a massive explosion. The fire daimyo himself was down the hall, heading to the room where he kept Naruto's inheritance, and was shocked to hear the sound so close to himself, before taking off into a run to the safe where the scroll was located. Even now, his samurai were rushing right past him, their swords drawn, and preparing to fight this evil that came after their feudal lord. Stop him. Stop that vile monster. I command you as your daimyo to fight this demon, exclaimed the fire daimyo while he cowered behind his samurai forces and the cry of battle. Why throw your life away for this worm hiding behind your swords? Your daimyo flees from battle when he should engage me. The man has no courage. No warrior spirit needed to lead you. Called out Naruto while hitting the row of samurai before him with charging spikes, and caused the army to either fly backwards or sideways into the wall. Don't listen to him. I am your feudal lord. It is your duty to protect me no matter what he says. Called out the fire daimyo while Naruto sneered at him. Such arrogance. A leader leads by example. He leads his forces into battle when an enemy is at his doorstep. You run, letting your men get slaughtered. And for what? You're heading for my family inheritance, hoping that having it in your hands, ready to destroy, will make me tremble, and suddenly submit to your commands. As if such an act would make me kneel at your feet. I have the blood of an emperor in my veins, and I do not submit to a self-proclaimed leader who has no spine, called out Naruto, as he created a Rasengan, and thrust it right into a group of samurai with their bodies exploding on impact. By this point, the samurai were starting to feel overwhelmed, and felt fear now grip their hearts at seeing this seemingly unstoppable force rip right through. An unstoppable force trying to get to the man they swore to serve, even if the man was running away like a coward, commanding them to throw away their lives so he could live a few moments longer, and without any care of the price his men were paying. It wasn't long before Naruto's words hit home, the questionable look they sent one another, on whether or not they should let this embodiment of power have his prize, and be done with their so-called daimyo. I will not allow him to win. I'll make him pay for attempting to harm me, thought the fire daimyo, as he rushed to the room where he found the safe, and struggled to open it before a click was heard to indicate the safe had been unlocked. When the fire daimyo opened it, he instantly reached for the scroll the third Hokage had left him, and the memory of that moment filled the feudal lord's mind. He saw the Hokage's face was filled with confidence, and sounded so assured to plan to keep the Jinchuriki in Konoha under control through his manipulations. It was supposed to be foolproof. It never occurred to the fire daimyo that Uzumaki Naruto would be anything but a fool. You have something that belongs to me, growled Naruto while his body glowed in a terrifying blood-red aura that made him a true sight to behold with the blood of all the samurai he fought washing over him to make it even more terrifying. Stay away. I'll destroy this. I swear it. This contains everything your father and mother left for you. Without it, you will have nothing, and will be nothing. If you don't back off, I will seize the Namikaze estates before I order it burned to the ground, and you will be left homeless, exclaimed the fire daimyo in a panic, as he held the scroll tightly in his two shaking hands, and saw the bloodstained warrior marching towards him without fear. You think I'll just submit to you, is that it? That I'll beg and plead for it like some mere peasant that serves you here in this castle? Ha! Don't make me laugh, said Naruto before he snatched the scroll away from the shocked and afraid feudal lord in front of him before pocketing it. Don't kill me. It was the third Hokage's idea. All of it, stammered the fire daimyo nervously, while Naruto glowered at the man now on his knees begging for mercy. Funny. The old man's memory of the meeting says otherwise, explained Naruto before throwing the fire daimyo into a wall, and saw the man fall face first onto the ground, after gravity plucked him from the indented wall of the room. Stop. Show mercy, cried out the fire daimyo, as he struggled to look up at the towering giant before him, and saw the burning rage in those eyes. Why should I? My venom will soon spread over your land and troops. It is the end of all things as you know it. An ending of the old guard and its old ruler, stated Naruto triumphantly over the fallen feudal lord. Stop, yelled the fire daimyo in a pleading voice while Naruto just sighed while he enjoyed his victory. It's too late to stop now, fool. Your time has passed. Soon the other feudal lords like you will follow in your footsteps when they begin their means of foolish resistance to stop me, explained Naruto before picking the man up and slamming him against the wall while keeping him pinned there. You can't, stated the fire daimyo with blood running down the sides of his mouth. Oh, but I can. Fire country is mine now. Your home, you samurai still breathing, and the land in which your people live in are now all mine. An adequate form of payment for keeping what was mine from me. Don't you agree? Questioned Naruto while throwing the fire daimyo onto the ground. Kami, elder gods above, help me. Someone. cried the fire daimyo while trying to crawl away from Naruto, who just laughed at him and easily walked around him. Yes. Pray to your god. Pray to the elder gods above to save you. Pray to them as your world as you know it ends. Stated Naruto while the fire daimyo got to his knees and looked up at him. I'm sorry. Forgive me, were the last words the fire daimyo spoke, as Naruto hefted his wrath hammer up and swung down on the feudal lord's head with a demonic war cry. The room would need a lot of cleaning and remodeling. Naruto walked into the throne room of Fire Daimyo. The dead feudal lord's remaining army of samurai watched him heading for the chair that symbolized the ruler's position over his country, and sat in it without hesitation. Like it was always his throne and always would be, no matter what anyone else tried to do to convince him otherwise. Taking a deep breath, Naruto looked at the samurai watching him sit on the throne, and saw they were unsure of how to act to this new development. Not surprising since their daimyo was dead. His wife was away on some cruise with the rest of the family, having no way of knowing what had happened to her husband, and there was no bloodline heir to the throne. The man had a niece, but she was too young, and on his wife's side of the family, so her right to rule if there was one had been marginal at best. Speak your mind, samurai, commanded Naruto to the samurai still alive and stunned by this turn of events. We have nowhere to go now, stated one samurai knowing that was true. Yes, that is indeed true. What will you do now that your weak daimyo is dead? Will you all become Ronin and wander the world? Will you go forth and serve another daimyo in another country? Or, will you serve me? Asked Naruto with each samurai in front of him. And why should we serve you? The slayer of our daimyo, called out another samurai with Naruto smirking at the man. Let me tell you something about your daimyo you served with such great zeal worth of being called samurai. The man you called daimyo was a weak and pathetic little man. He conspired with the third Hokage to deny me what was rightfully mine, and tried to force me into submission, so they could use me like a weapon. They planned to make me their pet, to heal and obey their every command without letting me have say in my life. My original dream in life was to become Hokage of Konoha, to rule over the village, and protect those in it, so I could prove them all wrong in regards to what they thought of me. I woke up to harsh reality that they would never let me become Hokage, and they would use me for as long as possible. After I was no longer of use to them, they would have the demon my father sealed in my body be extracted, and put into one of my offspring, if I ever had any at the time, and begin the abuse all over again. So please tell me, samurai warriors, is the man that was your feudal lord really worth dying for like many did here today? Explained Naruto with the samurai around him questioning their service to the now dead fire daimyo of Fire Country. What would happen if we stay and serve you? Asked another samurai, daring to ask the one question many did not have the courage to speak from their own mouths. You will be well compensated for your services and loyalty to me. Unlike the previous ruler of Fire Country, I will be fighting in battles, and fighting many enemies instead of sitting on my ass. Exclaimed Naruto with the samurai having witnessed his power for themselves firsthand. What do we call you? Asked another samurai curiously. I am Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto, the descendant of Emperor Shao Kahn, the conqueror and ruler of Outworld. Descendant of the Sage of Six Paths. Exclaimed Naruto while he smashed his fist on the chair and nearly broke the armrest from the impact. He was going to need a new chair commission to handle things like that soon. We will humbly serve you now, Naruto-sama, said one samurai, before he kneeled, and soon every other samurai in the room did the same. Good to hear. I hereby proclaim my right to the throne of Fire Country through my royal bloodline, and as my first official act as your ruler, I annex Whirlpool Country into Fire Country. Make my proclamation official for all to hear. I want the world to know that Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto is not someone to be cast aside when mentioning. I want the daimyos of the world to know that their days of ruling this fractured world will soon be over. Stated Naruto with the samurai wondering what they had just signed up for with him. Konoha was going to be in for quite the surprise when word spread of this. Konoha. Root HQ. He did what? Exclaimed Danzo with his root shinobi kneeling in front of him. The target Uzumaki Naruto has culled the Fire Daimyo, and proclaimed himself the new ruler of Fire Country, along with retrieving his heritage Danzo-sama. Explained the root shinobi before going into detail about how the samurai army protecting the late feudal lord falling against the former Jinchuriki of Kyubi, before the target killed the daimyo. Damn it. I had enough evidence put together both true and fabricated to proclaim the brat a traitor to Konoha. I had intended to send this to the Fire Daimyo, so he would command Tsunade to subdue my future weapon, and I could then manipulate things further with my Sharingan on the feudal lord to turn the Uzumaki into the village weapon. Thought an angry Danzo with the elderly man looking furious at this moment. Danzo, I take it you heard the news? Questioned Hamura seeing the root shinobi in front of the warhawk. Just now. I take it word has spread throughout the entire country? Questioned Danzo, with Hamura and Kaharu nodding. The brat used his heritage of his parents to claim legitimacy to throne, after killing the previous daimyo and using the late feudal lord's past actions against him to rally the needed support. The Namikaze has portrayed himself a man of the people, and has even annexed Whirlpool Country, given his mother's side of the family came from there. said Hamura while hating the 4th Hokage for limited their power when in office, and the Uzumaki whore he married, since she was meant to be the village weapon to keep the other villages at bay. Now even her son was out of reach. With the annexing of Whirlpool, the brat can further claim legitimacy to the throne, since Kushina was of royal blood, and thus grants her son the means to rule over Fire Country, Kaharu explained, since politics was her strength. What about the late daimyo's family? Surely, they wouldn't stand for this. Or the people in the Fire Daimyo's own court? Questioned Hamura with Danzo shaking his head. None of them have the means to cast him down. From what I understand, none of the late Fire Daimyo's family have standing to take the throne since he had no heir, or make one known on who would succeed him. The family would be fighting against each other and bring about instability to the entire country, stated Danzo with the root shinobi in front of him nodding once. Surely we can spread rumors. Whispered dissent into the ears of the people to rise up and oppose the brat. Hamura seeing Kaharu shaking her head no. And who would take the throne? It would have to be someone of royal blood we could manipulate, and the enemies of Fire Country could use such chaos to wipe us out. Sadly, we need to keep the brat on the throne, and prevent any dissent from happen, answered Kaharu with Hamura letting out a sigh and Danzo looking displeased by the notion. Tsunade is Hokage. Her godson is daimyo. We dare not make a move against her now, since the brat would never tolerate it, stated Danzo with the other two nodding in full agreement. We can do nothing until an option where we can remove the boy from his seat of power presents itself, said Hamura before he and Kaharu left Danzo to think about this further. Fire Country capital. Sometime later. Unko whistled in appreciation to the castle, which had gone under rebuilding from her lover's attack on the previous owner. She had never been allowed to leave Konoha for the Fire Country capital either as a bodyguard for the 3rd Hokage, or to send a message to the Fire Daimyo. Unko suspected it was due to her past with Orochimaru, and the fact she may try to seduce the daimyo for a chance, to have the man's child, to have a reason, to live in the castle. Personally though, the special jonin wouldn't have done what they all feared since 1. Her tastes were around men of action, and 2 well the Fire Daimyo was not what was the proper choice of words. Not the true ruler of his own throne. Castle. Country. Whatever. The point was the man had bad performance problems, and Unko liked her man to be the exact opposite. Enjoying the decorum Unko-chan? Asked Naruto with Unko looking at him sitting on his new throne made just for him, since the old one was too, well it was crappy. Very. I like the throne you're sitting on now. It increases your sex appeal, stated Anko with a sway to her hips, while Shizune was blushing to signify she agreed with that. You should see the bedroom, replied Naruto while getting off of royal seat, and walked up to the two women. Oh? I imagine it's much different than before and with a much bigger bed, stated Anko with a twinkle in her eye with lust shining clear as day. Indeed, answered Naruto before kissing Anko hungrily and then went after a slightly surprised Shizune, though the woman soon returned it. Namikaze-sama sir, said a messenger seeing Naruto making out with the two women. What? Said Naruto with a hint of annoyance in his voice at being interrupted. A message sir. It's from Konoha, said the messenger, as he handed Naruto the scroll, and bowed humbly before leaving. What's it say? Asked Anko curiously while looking over Naruto's shoulder on one side and Shizune on the other. Oh, this is from the Hyuga clan. I actually forgot about them and ignored their first message for other things, stated Naruto while Shizune blushed, since she was the reason for ignoring the first message. What do they want, Naruto-sama? Asked Shizune while Naruto kept on reading. First, they want to congratulate me on my newfound position in life, and wish me the best of luck, answered Naruto with a hint of sarcasm and surprise mixed together. In other words, they're kissing your ass, and hoping it won't be forgotten, stated Anko, since that was the way the Hyuga clan acted. Very true. Second, it appears they want to set up an arranged marriage between myself and one of the Hyuga women to further cement my claim to the throne of Fire Country. Apparently, they think my annexing of Whirlpool is not enough, and I need someone of noble blood from Fire Country to further strengthen the foundation, said Naruto while reading the scroll with some mild interest. Meaning their clan's foundation. So just who's the lucky girl they chose for you in this arranged marriage? Asked Anko while she tried searching for the name of the Hyuga they chose. Hyuga Hinata, answered Naruto with a bit more surprise and none of the sarcasm in his voice. Hinata? I'm surprised. They don't think too highly of her in Konoha. Even after Hokage-sama made her an apprentice with Uzumaki Karen, stated Shizune since Hinata and Karen had both done very well in being prodigal medicnins. Same here. Hinata always had potential, but from what I understand, they felt it was a threat to Hyuga clan, and decided to stomp it out. At the same time, they could claim she was too weak, and put Hinata in the branch family with the cage bird seal stamped on her forehead, stated Naruto while frowning at one of the conditions they requested upon his acceptance to the marriage. What? They want you to sire 2 children with one living with the clan, and having the cage bird seal stamped on the child's head. Can they do that? Questioned Shizune, as she saw where Naruto's line of vision regarding the terms of the marriage. Hinata is from their clan, this is their contract, and thus they make the rules within it. One of the reasons why politics are so troublesome. Stated Naruto with Anko growling at the other term there. It also states that a tribute be made to the Hyuga clan every month until the second child is born to compensate them for not producing. If this was any other clan or family I'd laugh, exclaimed Anko while seeing this, and Naruto nodded in agreement. Same here. They also want to put the caged bird seal on Hinata, to ensure Kumo doesn't get any ideas of nabbing her once outside Konoha, and behind these castle walls. Like her only purpose to me would be stay in her room and produce strong babies for them that they could manipulate or control. Disgusting, replied Naruto with the women beside him nodding in agreement. I agree. Giving you a whole army of children is our job. Right, Shizune? Stated Anko, though it was joking for the most part, since she did want to have children with Naruto one day. Shizune just blushed heavily. What will you do? Will you accept the contract, even with the terms? Asked Shizune, knowing they were steep and asking a lot from Naruto, and even more from Hinata herself, from what she saw of the terms specified in the contract itself. No? Hinata should be able to choose the man she wishes to marry and be happy with in life. Besides, this contract is not a valid one, answered Naruto with Shizune and Anko looking at him with confused expressions on their faces. What do you mean? The Hyuga clan seal is on this contract, Anko said while looking at the contract a second time. It is on here, but notice the signatures on this are of Hyuga clan elders, and not of the Hyuga clan head himself. The only way this contract would be valid is if the Hyuga clan head signs off on this with the seal to make it official. Something I learned from the memories of the third Hokage in regards to clan affairs, and the tricky ways a clan like the Hyugas do things, answered Naruto while wondering what to do with this new information. So, they're doing this behind Hiyashi's back, huh? I'm willing to bet they don't suspect that you even know this about the contract itself and will sign off it. They get what they want with the Hyuga with your blood under their seal, before you could possibly realize this is invalid, and if you try to take your offspring from them if that happens, said Anko with the unspoken words hanging in the air. They would use the seal's abilities on the child and kill him or her, growled Naruto, as he narrowed his eyes, and pictured the Hyugas laughing at him for being stupid enough to sign something like this. Only now they were the stupid ones. What's the plan, Naruto-kun? Are you going to spill a little Hyuga blood? Can I help? Asked Anko, with a hint of eagerness in her voice, while Naruto let out a chuckle. Not quite. I'll arrange a meeting with the Hyuga elders in their clan compound. What they won't know is Hiyashi will be making an appearance before the meeting is just about to start. I'll inform him of my reason for being there, show him the scroll, and let the dogs fight it out, said Naruto with a sadistic grin forming. I love it, stated Anko with glee, knowing it would cause all kinds of chaos in the snooty noble home of the Hyuga clan. I knew you would. After I get things squared away there, I'll make for Mist, and help the rebellion take down the Mizukage along with the water daimyo. It's clear the man is unfit to rule his own country if he can't keep his shinobi village in check, but enough about business. Let's focus on the more pleasurable aspects of my life with the two of you now here, replied Naruto with a grin on his face, while grabbing both his women by their butts, and headed towards the bedroom. They did wish to see the bedroom after all. Well, Anko did anyway. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want the next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, and also check out the other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.